I'm Nicole Deeker, and today I want to talk to you about how to memorize music the very first day you learn it. Now, the first thing we need to talk about is why you would want to memorize music the very first day you learn it. Now, there are a couple of reasons to do this, a couple of reasons why you might want to, but the biggest reason is, as soon as you have something memorized, or the sooner that you have something memorized, the more time you can put towards actually learning the nuances of the piece. A lot of times when we learn something as musicians, we often start by getting out the piece of sheet music. Here it is, the piece of sheet music, and we put it up on our little piano stand or our little music stand or whatever kind of stand we have. And we look at it and we go, okay, all right, I'm going to learn it. And we learn it. And we learn it and we learn it and we learn it for months and months and months. And we go, bum, 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 bum. And, we put emphasis in it, we put dynamics in it, we put articulations in it, we put everything in it. And then, something like a week before we perform it, we take the music away. Whoop! Oh, it's gone now. Oh, it's gone now. Oh, dear. All the little things that I've been using to help my brain remember when to articulate and how to articulate and, when to do all of this is now gone. And suddenly your brain has to work twice as hard to remember the things that it didn't actually learn in the first place because there was a big piece of music up here telling you what to do. Now, if you get rid of that music right away, what happens is that you actually get to develop the relationship with the piece yourself. The notes have now been transferred into your own memory. It is your job now to begin interpreting them, not only in the way that the composer may have intended, which we don't know because most of the time they're dead and didn't really explain a lot before they died, but not only in the way the composer might have intended, but also in the way that you intend, the connection that you as a musician would like to make with your audience. So that is my argument for why you really ought to memorize music the first day you learn it, because the sooner it is memorized, the sooner you actually get to start learning it. Not just reading it off the page and waiting for the page to tell you what to do. The sooner you get to start knowing what to do yourself. All right, so now I've given you my speech on why you ought to memorize music the first day you learn it, but now let's look at how. How on Earth, or outside of Earth, on Mars, I don't care. How do we do this? There are 4 steps. 3 of them are easy, 1 of them is very hard. I'm going to actually do this for you, by the way. I'm going to demonstrate that this actually works with my own brain. So this is Ravel's La Valse. It is a waltz piece he originally wrote, I believe, for orchestra, a poem chorégraphique for orchestra that was later transcribed into a 4-hand piano duet by Lucien Garbin. And I am learning the prima part of this piano duet. It's about 11 minutes long. I am currently memorized through page 16. Technically, I haven't memorized the first page yet, but it's mostly tremolos, so I'll get to it later. I am ready to start memorizing page 16. So now I'm going to use my 4-step. My 4-step, and it's not my 4-step. I sort of borrowed it from all the other people who do this kind of memory work, such as, Anders Ericsson, and the people who did, Moonwalking with Einstein. That crowd. You know that crowd. You can go read that crowd. But here's the deal. Here are the 4 steps if you want to memorize something the very first day you learn it. Step 1 is you identify the section of the piece that you'd like to memorize. This is sort of like a SMART goal thing. If you go in with a goal, then you'll know when you've achieved your goal, and you'll also be able to balance your time so that you can achieve the goal within the time you have allotted. And you'll also know when to stop. You'll know when you've done a good job because you'll know if you've achieved your goal. And if you haven't achieved your goal, you can start asking yourself, what do you need to do differently the next time? So, all right, I need to figure out how much I'm going to memorize for you. I do not want to take all day, so we're just going to take a little bit of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 measures. We can do that. I can do that. You can watch. All right, so the first thing you do is you isolate 8 measures. Great job, Nicole. You've done that bit so far. The next thing you need to do, this is the hard part. You actually need to memorize it. This is where we do the hand wavy, you need to memorize it thing. What I do when I memorize is I look for anchors that help me anchor the notes into my memory. It's quite, I don't want to say it's quite easy when you know how to do it, but it actually is quite easy when you know how to do it. So, and already, oh, there's a key change. Great. So we're changing keys immediately into, I believe, F major. All right. So with the right hand here, we can already see that there's an anchor going on. You got D over here. Bing, 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 right? All right. So with the what I'm doing here with the thumb, you've got your G, your G sharp, your A, right? So you already know that for these three measures, you got D hanging on here, and you can think da, da, dum. Now, one of the things I like to do when I anchor something is I like to write it down. I'm an old school writing it downer. I did David Allen's Getting Things Done. I still do, by the way. I still do. I did it both when it was cool, and I believe now that after it has maybe stopped being cool. Anyway, if I want to remember something, the only thing I can do is write it down. So I'm going to write a little arrow here. And that arrow means da, 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 right? Okay, so that's what that arrow is for. And look, I can already do it with my eyes closed. But what is the left hand doing? This hand's got to play something too. Oh, I'm so excited. It's doing the same thing. Like the right hand, go ba da da, and the left hand's going da da da. So we got our little arrow here. They're doing the same thing. I can anchor that in my brain when I think about taking the music away, and my brain is going, oh dear, the music's gone. What's happening right now? I can visualize that arrow and think, you know. Out of the 8, I promised you. Okay, we start in F sharp. Remember that. Oops, now see, my little finger here was late because it didn't know what it was doing. I'm going to do it again. And slower. When in doubt, do it more slowly. Actually recommend playing with your eyes closed. I recommend playing looking at your hands. I'm only closing my eyes to prove to you that I'm memorizing it. Here, I'll look at my hands. Oh, this is much easier. See how my thumb didn't quite hit the G that time? It was a little insecure. Let's do it again and more slowly. Is rolled. In fact, the next 3 are, and that's a good little thing I can do because I can put little circles around all of them, bing, bonk, bonk, and now we know that those 3 chords are rolled. We don't actually know that. I just know that I put circles around them. It sort of means same, same, same. And the same thing in this case is that they are rolled. And then the left hand's pretty easy. That's it. And they're all rolled. The right hand, I need an anchor for this bit. So I'm going. So we got a third and then a fourth. And that's easy because those numbers are consecutive. So you can write 3 if you want. And of course, when you write numbers on music, some pianist will look and goes and think those are fingerings. So don't confuse yourself. This is a 3 and this is a 4 because it's a third and because it's a fourth. In fact, here, I will make sure I don't get confused. R, D, and T, H. Great. Okay. There we go. Right? We're following along still? You get the idea. I think you're starting to get the idea. That's it. Now that's a little bit, again, you can tell that it's a little bit insecure because I'm hesitating before I'm playing the notes, but that's just because I'm thinking about them in my brain. I'm thinking about what I'm going to play before I'm going to play it. And I'll do it one more time for you. That is correct. Woo! Okay, so I checked it on the page, brain, page, brain. This isn't my brain. This is like my sternum. Page, brain. There we go. That's where it is. This is my heart. Do I have it memorized in my heart? Right, right, right. Okay. Oh, I missed a chord in the right hand. Something was off there. Let me look at it again. Okay, so what happens here is that the chords are lined up with the higher points of these thirds and fourths jumps. So now what I've done, you want to see how circly-dirkly my music is, right? None of this is going to make any sense to anyone else but me. And in fact, I'm not even going to look at it tomorrow because by then it will have gone not only into my brain, but into my brain so far that I won't actually need to remember things like third and fourth and ascending and circle and circle and same and same and same. It will all just become something that you know. And this is the process by which I get from guessing, as I like to say, to knowing. So you get the idea. You identify a section of music. You anchor. You create anchors that help you memorize it. And then the next thing you have to do is take the music away. Now I know I promised you I'd memorize 8 measures, and I've only memorized 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this video will be long enough, and I can sense that you're already sort of itching to do something different, because that's how the internet makes us feel. And so I don't actually want to memorize all 8 measures, because that will take forever. It actually won't. It'll probably take about 5 more minutes, but we're all busy. Oh, you roll and you play the higher notes on those, on those intervals. And suddenly I know it. I don't have to think about it because I know it. But, we got to take the music away. Let's see if this works. Oh my goodness. Again, but slowly. To do over and over and over and over and over again. And there's one more thing you have to do at the very end, because your brain is going to say, woohoo, I have memorized that little bit, hooray, I'm a good brain. And then you're going to have to do the thing called progressive overload. If you lift weights or you do something that requires adding on, you have to add on. So it's time to overload myself by playing what comes before this. jumble. I forgot that that was a B and not an A. It's hard to not, you want to think it's an A because of the melody. Okay, so that's all right. All right. So, but then I better make sure I can actually go back and play it with the other thing. And you can see again, because my brain is just slightly a bit overloaded, it is forgetting some of the things it thought it knew yesterday, which means we have to go back and play it again, more slowly. That wasn't more slowly, that sounded fast. If I were practicing for real instead of making a video for you, what I would do is I would spend the next 10 minutes working those two sections together until they sounded like one section. Again, slow practice, identifying where your little memory slips are and coming up with even stronger anchors, you know. Now notice this is different. This is chromatic. And that one isn't chromatic, right? There's another little thing I can think to myself as I'm thinking about it. Anyway, I think at this point you get the idea, right? There are 4 steps to memorizing something the very first day you learn it. Step 1 is you identify how much of the piece you want to memorize. Step 2 is you create anchors that help you memorize it. Step 3 is you take the music away and you make sure you verify that you actually have it memorized. And step 4 is you progressive overload your brain by adding in something that you've already memorized, generally the preceding bit of music, and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. And you know, once you've got it memorized, then you can spend the rest of your time learning the piece yourself without the music in front of you. So I hope that's helpful. Please leave your questions in the comments as we know how this works. Leave your questions in the comments. I will answer them, and I hope to make another video about practicing for you soon. Thanks.